I am here with Micah Parsons, a 2021 NFL draft prospect, a linebacker out of Penn State. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Of course. And it's a big month for you preparing for the draft. Can you kind of just talk about the emotions and what you've been working on throughout your game to prepare for this moment?
Yeah, the emotion's been really high, a lot of nerves. I just been hitting the field, working on my speed, working on my footwork, just making sure I'm doing all the little things to make sure I excel at the next level.
And you talk about that physicality, and then you also mentioned the psychological aspect. So how are you able to really focus in mentally when all of these other things are going on that not everybody sees?
Honestly, just thinking your eyes on the bigger prize, just looking at towards that end goal and, making sure I keep that in my hindsight and keep, my mind motivated on, doing the best I can every day.
Now, a lot of teams are looking at you. They're looking at your skill set. They saw what you've been doing throughout the seasons. Can you talk about what separates you from all the other linebackers that are going to be prospects in this draft?
I think I'm mixed in with a lot of great athletes. I watch them play. I think they're all really good. But I just don't think, they could play like how I play, and they all have the physicality I play with. And I don't think they're as versatile as me. I used to play DN. I could go back there at any time, rush the passer. I could play in coverage. I could play man-to-man. I could play any linebacker spot at 246 pounds, 250 pounds. So I think that's what separates me. A bunch of these guys are 220 and 230, and I'm heavy set, so and I can play anywhere on the field. So I think that's one of the things that separates me, and I'm still able to keep my speed while I'm doing it. So I think that's like one of my biggest separation factors than the rest of these guys.
And definitely just from watching your tape, you can just tell how versatile you are. And I'm sure a lot of these teams that are looking for a linebacker are definitely going to see that. Now, you talk about your versatility. You talk about you play defensive end. Now you're a linebacker. Is there a player in those positions that's in the NFL currently that you look up to or kind of model your game after?
Yeah, like I love TJ Watt. If you're looking from a 3-4 perspective, love Khalil Vaughn. And then, if I'm looking at a traditional linebacker's perspective, I love the way that Devin White plays. I love the way Devin Bush plays. I love Tremaine Edmonds, guys like that who are really just changing the game right now.
You talk about a lot of your story and the physicality that you do as a player, but can you just give us background information on who Micah Parsons really is? Are there any trials and tribulations that you had to go through college or high school that you had to overcome to get where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I got a remarkable story of just like going through everything I've been through since I was young. Like, I feel like my journey's never been easy. And I feel like, you know, like from the very beginning, it's like a blessing to even be here. Like, start by saying that. Um, my parents never had much, so, we really survived on our own. The question if she was going to keep me as a kid, and, she decided to keep me and give birth to me. And, I think that story right there is remarkable. And then, like, how she got my name and what I went through as a kid, getting here. Like, I just feel like a lot of people don't know who, like, they really am. And everybody kind of got, like, their own perspective and their own judgment of who they think I am by words of other people. But, when you look at, like, what I've been through from, I would say I was always looked heavy upon since middle school. Like, there was, like, always a light on me. Like, this kid has a lot of potential, but will he maximize and get there? And, I experienced like failure in my life. I experienced like downfalls, not being able to play when you wanted to play, and things like that. And I think like all these trials and tribulations that I went through helped me like build me to where I wanted to go and wanted to be, and helped me change at such an early age. Like, and it helped me develop a mindset that will only lead me to path I'm on right now. So, for all the stuff like I've been through, I honestly have like no regrets because, I was young and I made mistakes, but I feel like all those mistakes led me here, um, and it helped me develop a mentality that, I'll never fail again, and that, failure is never okay, and that it's okay to fail, but as long as you get back up and recover. So I'm big on not making the same mistakes twice. I'm big on, you know, having a winning culture, coming in with an attitude, being a joy and positive influence to others, being a leader, being, that person that people could look up to, a person that cares about others, because I feel like I was at a point one time in college, and mental toughness is a thing, not just on the field but off the field. And it was a point where my mental wasn't strong, and I felt like nobody was there for me. And everyone always has that point in their life where they're like, man, I don't know if I could do this. And there was somebody that was there for me, and I appreciate that, because without them, I don't know where I would be right now. So for me, I love to care about others. Caring is such a thing, like just asking someone how their day going, if they're okay, because those words right there can mean more to them than anything in this world. So I think people don't often see that caring side of me. They kind of, see this side that people like to perceive from the media of what people say are often accused of. I feel like because of how someone else views someone, you shouldn't have that same point of view, because my mother always taught me, I don't care if he disrespected somebody else, he never disrespected me. Our love and relationship could be completely different. So I don't know, just how I think and what I've been through just taught me just how to be a great man. And, my mother is like one of the hardest workers. So when I look at her, she's like a person that I like look up to and, learn from as I was growing up.
And I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, because, a lot of the times we see the stats, we see the pro days, the vertical jumps, the 40-yard dash, but we don't always get to hear stories like that from you guys. We don't get to see who you really are as a person. And I think it's remarkable all that you've been through and where you are right now.
Thank you so much.
Of course, and I kind of looked up some information. You went to Penn State, you're from the Pennsylvania area. So my question for you is, what was your favorite team growing up? I have an idea, but I'm going to let you take this one.
Like NFL or like
In the NFL,
college?
yeah. You can say college and NFL, either
Oh,
or.
growing up, I was such a huge Oregon fan.
Really?
Yeah. And then growing up, my family always loved it was like Cowboys Eagles rivalry, but I'm like a bandwagon now. But growing up, like from like what I was accustomed to from like a young age, so I was like 10 until like I understood like the NFL. I was a big Cowboy fan.
Being a Cowboys fan in the state of Pennsylvania, did you ever get any backlash or anything just because it's the rival of the Eagles?
Oh, of course. My family
Mm.
always kind of like went back and forth with the Cowboys, Eagles, and then we had some people that were Steelers, but my brother and my dad are huge Cowboys fans.
If you could only drink one Gatorade color or flavor for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Mm, that's a hard one. I would say the purple flavor.
Really? That's a good one.
Um,
That's an underrated
yeah,
one.
it's very underrated, but it just pops more when it's cold. Like when it's cold, it is amazing.
Absolutely.
It was
Yeah, that's
between
a good
that or
one.
the Glacier Freeze. The Glacier Freeze always got me too.
Yeah, the light blue one. Everybody loves those ones. That's a popular answer lately for favorite Gatorade
Yeah.
flavor. And you've been playing football for a while now. As you said, middle school, you were kind of in the light and everything. How did you kind of deal with that? You talk about outside people coming in and having this perspective of Micah Parsons, but deep down, you know who you are. How do you deal with that? And do you have any strategies, for other players coming in the league that might face that same thing?
Honestly, like it's honestly like really hard. Like it's like hard to like it's hard to like word it, and it's hard to like for people to understand like, when you're in the light, people are always talking about you. And you kind of got this view, and people get this view of who they think you are. but not really understanding you. Like, I think a lot of people want to be understood, and as athletes, we want to be understood too. And it's honestly frustrating, like, because I don't like to react to fans and the media and things like that, but it's kind of frustrating because, you see what people perceive of who you are and what they think you are, and like they know you, and their judgment of you is kind of hard to see and it's hard to tell. But honestly, like, if I were giving advice, I would say it's better off not looking at the good or the bad. There's always going to be good and bad. It's better than just not to look at any of it, because then you won't ever see that notion. So now I just kind of like try to stay off the media now until like everything like blows over, because because it's hard to look at, and it's um, and you don't want to look at that and look at the good and just see how things turn on you. So I would say it's better just to stay off the media
Yeah,
altogether.
that's a good point, especially because, a lot of the times it's just people sitting behind a screen and, saying things, and they can never really step a day in your shoes. So that's definitely a good way to look at it.
Exactly.
As I said before, you've been playing since middle school. So are there any game day rituals that you kind of have going into a game, whether that's a song or a certain food you eat? Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, my ritual is honestly kind of weird though. Like, in college, I used to listen to 50 Cent Mini Men as I walked out. And I kind of vibe to 50 Cent as I'm walking in, like, many men, many, 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 many men. And I'm like vibing, and I'm like going with it, and I'm having fun with it. And then as I get in, I like sit at my locker for a while and kind of just like think. And then I like to pray before I go out. And I like to pray when I go out on the field, so that way I get my 2 prayers. And then the night before, growing up, even in college, we used to eat pasta the night before. So I'm big on pasta the night before. I used to do that in high school and college.
There you go.
And
That's
then,
awesome.
yeah, that's kind of like my ritual though. 50 Cent,
Yeah.
prayer, and pasta.
They'll have to, if once you get called up for the draft, they're going to have to play the 50 Cent song for you. It just has to happen, right?
Yeah, it has to happen.
So talking about the draft, are you planning to go to Ohio, or are you going to just stay home and kind of watch it with family and friends? What's your plan?
I'm going to Ohio with my family.
There you go. Are you excited for that? Like, what is the thought process? How's your family reacting to all this?
They're like all nervous. Like, we're planning and everything together right now. We're all super excited. So honestly, I just can't wait to get out there and just hear my name called. Like, that's always been a dream of mine, to walk across the stage and hold that #1 jersey up. I can't wait to, accomplish that dream of mine.
And we're looking forward to hearing your name called as well, to see where you go. We'll definitely be watching. We'll make sure that we get some content up there about your story. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. It's really awesome to hear everything that you kind of battled through to where you are now. And we're super excited for your journey in the future.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this interview. I appreciate you for letting me tell my story. And all those who out there, tell your story. Appreciate your journey, because you went through it for a reason. And, it's time to inspire others.